like condoms, so I don't use condoms.
Exactly, and I want you to know this.
I'm allergic to latex, so I can use non-latex condoms.
Why do people keep saying they're allergic to latex but not allergic to sex?
This woman tried to trap me.
I mean, it's like sex at all. You're right. First brought out the condom, I said, is it a no-latex condom? He told me no. I said, we better off not. No, never mind, I'll just do it anyway.
We went on to the store. Well, while we was going to the store, her friend started to tell me a story. She was like, well, I just want to tell you something. She was like, well, the whole time that you was gone, she was cheating on you.
Her best friend told you that?
That's what her best friend told me.
And I only did it because I thought you was cheating on me.
Okay.
So you admit you cheated on him?
I did.
And so your best friend told on you?
Yeah.
Things kick off with Mr. Montgomery, who's all like, Miss Parker tricked me into thinking I was Timothy's dad. But now Miss Parker's flipping the story, saying he's not the father. So he's like, let's do a DNA test. Oh, this is about to get wild.
You say Miss Parker led you to believe that you fathered her 3-month-old son, Timothy Montgomery. You say you were present at the birth, named the baby, signed the birth certificate, but now Miss Parker says you're not the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Montgomery is here pouring his heart out like it's some kind of romance movie, insisting he's Timothy's dad. Timothy is his son, and he's not ready to let this go. But just wait until Miss Parker drops her side of the story.
I believe I'm the father because, I loved her. Me and her were together. We were sexually active.
You too.
Without a shadow of a doubt, I just believe, firmly that this is my son. I was there, through the pregnancy and signed the birth certificate. And what the funny part is,
because
she
I thought
allowed
he
me
was
to name the
your
son after my deceased father.
Miss Parker's story just took a hard left turn as she admits there's another possible dad in the mix. This love triangle just turned into a math problem.
I thought he was the father.
You did?
Yeah, because he looked just like Mark in the ultrasounds.
So during the ultrasounds, you felt like they resembled?
Yeah, they looked just like him, and I believed that he was the father.
Miss Parker's dropping bombshells, admitting she was with both guys at the same time, making paternity a big guessing game. And Miss Parker doesn't seem like she's done spilling the tea.
I had sex with both of them around the same time and the same day.
You're talking about one of these 3D ultrasounds? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I had one of those, and I know what you're saying when you look at baby and you pick out features and you say, oh, I think he kind of resembles, but there's no way that if you were sleeping with another man during the window of conception.
Mr. Montgomery went all out, basically moving mountains to be with Miss Parker, and the crowd can't believe it. You've got to feel for the guy. This is just the beginning.
I left everything I knew in Cleveland, my family. I had a good paying job that I had, and, left my family, my friends, everything I ever knew behind so I can go down there and be the best father and family man that I could possibly be for her, her kids, and my son.
Yeah.
Miss Parker, meanwhile, says she was kind of fed up with Mr. Lanou, always ignoring her for his Xbox, so she found herself looking for attention. Everyone in the courtroom is shaking their heads by now, wondering where this will lead next.
So talk to me about how you were in a relationship with 2 different men.
I was with Mark. He was always on Xbox. He wouldn't even have sex with me during the whole pregnancy because he felt weird.
First met, it wasn't even like that. He wasn't even in the picture.
Right here.
You are
He done left.
He pried on my girlfriend when I was
One
with
at
her.
a time.
Now, Mr. Lanou and Mr. Montgomery are throwing shade about who's really supporting the baby financially, and it's messy. The competition between these two just keeps getting more intense.
I have a job.
Where's all this money going?
It's going to him.
No, it's
going
not.
to
I have
him.
not once
Trust and
got
believe,
it.
my son will have what he needs.
Putting diapers on
Yeah,
his
because
ass, buying
you snuck
formula,
behind
buying
my
clothes.
back and you bit on my girl, homie.
Before you got pregnant, you ended up with Mr. Lanou, right?
The first time he had left, throughout the whole time,
He had
even
broke up
told
with
him
me.
that we were sleeping together after he
No,
came
they
back.
didn't.
Mr. Montgomery's really been holding back here, but he finally admits he kind of suspected Miss Parker was seeing Mr. Lanou on the side. The truth is creeping closer and closer.
Before Timothy was born, no, I had my suspicions, but I never had, concrete evidence that they was actually sleeping around.
Clearly, Miss Parker, you're sleeping with both men.
Yeah.
At a certain point. You end up in the hospital having your baby. How is it that Mr. Montgomery ends up in the hospital with you?
I didn't know it was a possibility that Lanou would have been the father of Timothy.
Get your tissues, because Mr. Montgomery is reliving the happiest moment of his life, and he held Timothy at birth. But Miss Parker's about to come in with some ice-cold reality.
Sitting there, I'm holding him for the first time, I bring him to, her face, so she can see him because she had a C-section. I'm sitting there crying. I even told myself that, when he was born, I was like, I'm not gonna cry. Was I nervous? No, I was excited because the simple fact of the matter, I was told that I was gonna be and unlike most men, I was damn proud to hear that I was gonna be a father.
Miss Parker confesses that she waited weeks after Timothy's birth to tell Mr. Montgomery that he might not be the dad, and his reaction says it all. Mr. Lanou is waiting to share his own side of the story, and it's about to get even messier.
I told him, and
3 weeks after he was born.
But this is because during that time, Your Honor, that he had threatened to Timothy.
Your Honor, she
without
told
her
me
knowledge,
this in the bed.
take him to Cleveland.
First time she was able to have sex after the baby was born, she waited until after we were done to sit. You know, I don't think you're the father. I think, you know, Luke's the father. And I'm still laying in the bed with this woman naked.
Mr. Lanou explains how he stayed cool and didn't go to the hospital, even though he knew there'd be a fight if he did. But Timothy's paternity still isn't set in stone, and the drama's not over.
No. I actually was going to show up to the hospital, but I, for her and that unborn child, refused to because I know that it would have caused a disturbance between me and him.
You knew
I didn't have
that you had
choice.
been sleeping with her.
A man always has
Did
a
you
choice.
know if there was a distinct possibility that you could be this
Absolutely,
child's
Your Honor,
father?
and I even
I
previously
told him
on
it
Facebook.
wasn't because I didn't want to believe it.
Miss Parker shocks everyone, admitting she was cheating on Mr. Lanou left and right while they were together, which makes this all feel like a soap opera. But with the DNA results coming up, they're about to get some real answers.
What other fact do you have that support your belief that this child is Mr. Lanou's?
It's just I cheated the whole time I was with Mark. And
But I cheated.
You did cheat.
Okay.
It's also
I
the
did
fact that
cheat
he's
because
tried
you cheated on
conceiving
me.
children to other women who, until he left, could not conceive a child.
The results come out and hit like a sledgehammer.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Montgomery, you are not the father.
Wow, this story kicks off wild right from the start. Miss Herman is in court to prove that Mr. Houston is the father of her son Corey. But get ready, this tale is only just beginning.
Miss Herman, you are here to prove that Mr. Houston is the biological father of your 2-year-old son Corey. You contend the defendant duped you and was living a double life. Mr. Houston, you claim that you are not the biological father of Miss Herman's son and will clear your name when the results are read.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, bam! Miss Herman explains how she found out Mr. Houston was married while she was already pregnant. With her detective skills in full gear, Miss Herman is about to make this courtroom a whole lot more interesting.
I like to call this the investigadget stage. That's what I do. So during the time I was pregnant, I had told Mr. Houston that I was pregnant. He said that he would be there for me and my child. After 2 doctor's appointments, he stopped showing up. So I got a little suspicious. Got my investigation glasses on, you know, and I found out via Facebook that he has a wife and children.
Mr. Houston really doubles down, saying he had no reason to tell her he was married. Like that little fact didn't matter. The judge is already over this eyebrow drama, but trust me, there's way more eyebrow-raising stuff to come.
You know, anything I got going on before I met her wasn't her business. You see what I'm saying? I wasn't curious about the extra stuff. I was more curious about getting to know who she was.
So your marriage and your kids and your wife were all extra things?
No, it wasn't extra at all. It was just something that I didn't communicate with her.
This part is downright awkward as Mr. Houston tries to dodge the question about using protection. But things are about to get a whole lot stickier as Mr. Houston tries to explain himself.
But you didn't use protection when you were sleeping with her.
You did not.
Did you tell
not.
him?
Don't lie. You did not use. He did not use a condom, Your Honor. He did not.
Your Honor.
No. The answer is no. Don't
Your
let
Honor.
him lie to you. The answer is no. No. He
The
did
night
not.
that-
No.
Mr. Houston's version of their meeting is so casual, it sounds like he's describing grabbing lunch. He claims he was just interested in getting to know her, not aiming for anything serious, like, oh, having a kid. Miss Herman's expression says it all. She's about to spill more details he forgot to mention.
I had a homie that just got married. You know, we were celebrating his marriage, you know. I met her. She seemed like she was out of her comfort zone, you know. She wasn't supposed to be there, you know what I mean? So I approached her. I said, hey, how you doing? You know, we started communicating. She told me her name. I let her know who I was.
He did, Your Honor. Don't let him
didn't
lie
let-
to you. When he do that thing with his eyebrows, he's lying.
And when Miss Herman reveals they were together for a month and a half, the drama level in the room doubles. And just when you think it couldn't get messier, in steps Mr. Houston's wife with her own version of the story.
About a month and a half when I found out I was pregnant, told Cortez that I was pregnant, and he didn't say anything on the other line of that phone. He said, are you for real? I said, yes, I'm for real. Then he promised that he would be there throughout the whole pregnancy, not just 2 doctors.
At what point do you discover that he has a wife? Are you already pregnant?
Yes.
Here comes Mrs. Houston, and she's not here to play nice. But hang on, because these 2 women have even more to say, and Mr. Houston's day is about to go downhill fast.
How did you find out about Miss Herman?
The way I discovered, you know, they were doing whatever was a message came in his phone. When I have the baby, I want to move in with you. I'm looking like, who the hell is this? And what is she talking about? So somebody is trying to get answers and he like playing dumb, you know, wouldn't tell me the truth about it. So eventually I end up calling the number and I talked to her.
The drama goes off the charts starts as Mrs. Houston tells everyone she and Miss Herman were pregnant at the same time. But Mr. Houston's about to pull out a deep reason for his actions that'll leave you scratching your head.
You know, he said he's going to be there for me and blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, so you're pregnant. I'm pregnant too. So how does that work? Like,
see, I'm in the business of making babies. You know, I have every reason to extend my bloodline. Let me let you know.
And now, Mr. Houston gives a reason for his actions that's as surprising as it is confusing. The judge isn't having it and tells him making babies isn't the way to heal his loss. But don't worry, Mr. Houston isn't done with his wild excuses just yet.
Exactly.
And you thought by making more children,
I'll be connected with my father.
You will be connecting with your father. At the end of the day, you do have to understand that when you bring children into the world with paternity questions, that's not being a superhero. That's not being the kind of father you say you lost.
Mr. Houston's next excuse is one for the history books, claiming he skipped the condom because he's allergic to latex. The judge looks ready to scream as she tries to get him to own up to his choices.
I don't like condoms, so I don't use condoms.
Exactly, and I want you to know this.
I'm allergic to latex, so I can use non-latex condoms.
Why do people keep saying they're allergic to latex but not allergic
This
to sex?
woman tried to trap
No,
me.
I mean, it's like
sex at all. You're right. First brought out the condom. I said, "Is it a no latex condom?" He told me no. I said, "We better off not." No, never mind. I'll just do it anyway.
And then things heat up even more as Miss Herman accuses Mr. Houston of barely being in Corey's life. Finally, it's time for the DNA results that could blow everything up.
Miss Herman, Mr. Houston testified that he wants to be a dad. Has he been a dad to Corey?
No, he doesn't do anything for Corey at all.
This woman's full of lies today. I don't know why.
Can you show you a receipt?
I made sure that I had his first pair of shoes. I got him some booties. I did everything that I was supposed to do as far as making sure he had car seats. I did all those things.
This moment right here, it's the jaw dropper everyone was waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Houston, you are not the father.
Yes. Thank you, Jesus. I ain't gotta talk to this man not no more.
Oh, here we go. Things get intense right away. Mr. Razor and Mr. Hunt, who are siblings, decide to sue their parents for a paternity test. But there's way more to this story. Just wait till you hear about the argument that got this whole mess comment loud and clear, and he was left totally mind blown. Things are only getting messier from here as the family drama keeps unfolding.
Yes, I did, Your Honor, but I don't believe my children heard the whole comment.
Emotions are all over the place as Ms. Razor steps up, her reactions to big life moments. Hold tight, because Ms. Ham is about to get grilled for answers next.
It's something that you need to tell me. Maybe.
Just when you think this family drama is as complicated as it gets, Ms. Ham drops a new bomb. She doesn't actually know who Precious's father is. Now with Tommy thrown into the mix, family's confusion hits a whole new level. But just wait till Tommy gets involved. Here's a twist no one saw coming. Mr. Farmer, aka Uncle Tommy, joins in remotely and admits he had a relationship with Ms. Ham back in the day, leaving the siblings even more bewildered. The drama is thick in the air as they all hold their breath, waiting for the DNA test result.
That's just nasty. Wow. That is not my father.
Ms. Ham casually confirms that, yeah, she and Mr. Farmer were involved 26 years ago, which means he could totally be Precious's dad, but definitely not Hector. Precious is holding back tears as she reveals how desperately she needs the truth about who her dad is, especially since she's getting married soon. And here we are, with the results about to come out. And you know things are going to hit hard.
These are my children, and I'm gonna...
Whoa, this is a wild start. Mr. Haynes drags Miss Manning into court, claiming he's definitely the dad of her daughter Zoe, even though Miss Manning now says, nope, you're not. And just when you think it can't get crazier, they toss even more surprising facts at each other.
Mr. Haynes, you have brought Ms. Manning court today to prove that you are the father of her 4-year-old daughter, Zoe. You say Ms. Manning initially told you that you were Zoe's dad, but now is claiming you are not her father.
It's only getting more confusing here, folks. Miss Manning explains her timeline, claiming that Zoe was conceived after she and Mr. Haynes had already called it quits. Just wait, things are about to get even more. What?
Miss Manning sent me a picture. I thought it was my son at first. It was actually Zoe. Took a picture of my son and I compared it, and that's when she was my child.
And why do you feel you know that for certain?
Zoe was conceived at the end of October and we had already broken up.
It's like watching a ping pong match of parent confusion here. Mr. Haynes remembers Miss Manning saying he was the father, then changing her mind over and over again. And you won't believe the next set of wild mixed messages.
She said I was the father multiple times. Then she also told me I wasn't the father multiple times. So first met when I was getting a tattoo, and it was at residence, and we only dated for a short period of time until she ended the relationship. So I ended up moving on, got with my ex now, my son's mom. mom.
This back and forth is exhausting, even for the judge, but after 4 years of mixed signals, both of them are at their wits' end. And get ready, because another possible dad just popped into the mix.
I had a baby, and it's a possibility she's yours.
And so he said, send me a picture. And that's what you sent. And once he acknowledged that, yes, I believe this is my daughter, what did you say?
I've never told him he was the father, and I've never told him he wasn't the father. It's always been, there's a possibility. And the fact that he's waited 4 years to take a paternity test is what irritates me.
The confusion just keeps snowballing here. When asked if he's been part of Zoe's life, Mr. Haynes says he's tried, but Miss Manning only allowed him to be a friend of the family for Zoe's sake. And now, Mr. Haynes brings a timeline to show he's been trying all along.
Have you tried to be a father at all to Zoe, Mr. Haynes? Have you been a part of her life? She's 4.
I have tried to reach out to her. I have talked to her once, and when I did talk to her, Miss Manning told me not to mention that I was the father. She just told me to keep, I'm a family friend of the family, so.
Keeping up with this timeline is like trying to follow spaghetti noodles. It's all over the place. The judge points out the endless cycle of yes, no, maybe, and everyone's left dizzy. And if you thought it was done, hold on, because Miss Manning's got something to say next.
You submitted a timeline to the court.
March of 2014 is when I received the photo, Zoe, but like I told you guys just previous that I thought it was my son. Then I found out it wasn't.
And you felt like she sent you the picture because she was your child.
Yes.
So you're thinking you are the father.
Yes.
Things get even juicier with the next witness. Mr. Haynes' girlfriend, Ms. Wickwire, his current girlfriend, steps up and backs up Mr. Haynes, saying Miss Manning has repeatedly changed her mind on who the dad is. This story keeps twisting like a soap opera.
First off,
What
Your Honor,
testimony do you have?
we've been together for 2.5 years. She has repeatedly sent him messages saying that he is the father and isn't the father. She's dragging him through hell, pretty much. When he is the father, he's
Your Honor,
happy and wants to
I don't
actually try and
understand
take...
how I'm dragging him through hell when it's been, there's a possibility, let's get a DNA test.
Now the judge is practically begging for Miss Manning to let Mr. Haynes have a chance with Zoe. The stakes are sky high, and everyone's waiting to see how this ends.
So have you encouraged a relationship between Mr. Haynes and Zoe?
No.
And why is that?
I would rather have proof that he is her father instead of them building a relationship and him not being the father.
You really believe it's the man that's on the birth certificate, already acknowledged paternity, but has allowed you to have full custody and doesn't really want to be part of raising her?
Yes.
This is a roller coaster of emotion as both parties share their hopes. Both clearly want the best for Zoe, and it's tough to watch them struggle. We're on the edge here. The final DNA answer is coming.
Do you hope Mr. Haynes is her biological father?
Yes.
So even though your gut says to you, do not think he's the father, what are your hopes, Mr. Haynes?
I just want to find out the truth because it's been almost 4 years of going back and forth that I'm the father. So I just want the proof.
And you want to be her father?
Yes.
It's DNA time, and the result is a jaw dropper.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Haynes, you are not father.
Whoa, this case got messy real fast. Mr. Lester's like, nope, not mine. You had other guys around then. Things already look dicey, and we're just getting started.
Mr. Lester, you say that you and Ms. Moyet were never in a relationship and that she had multiple sex partners during her time of conception, so you are 100% certain that you are not father of baby Nyla.
You won't believe the pettiness in this part. Miss Moyet says Mr. Lester's support so far includes a few diapers and one onesie for a boy. But trust me, these two are just getting warmed up.
Mr. Lester has hardly been involved in Nyla's life. Besides the fact of 3 cases of diapers, a onesie that he bought for her, which was a boy outfit. Other than that, me and my mother have been providing food, milk, and everything and things like that. I also have evidence here showing you food, cribs,
Let me see that evidence.
And things took a weird turn when Miss Moyet shared how she planned this pregnancy by showing up at Mr. Lester's house on her special day. The drama was thick in the air, and it was only about to get thicker.
I actually planned this pregnancy. I went over to his house the day I was ovulating, and I let him know I'm ovulating. I want to have a baby. We did nothing.
That is not true.
Yeah, we did nothing to prevent Nyla. To make matters even worse, since I've had Nyla.
The tension really hit high gear as the judge dug into their relationship timeline. The judge tells them both that not using protection isn't exactly smart, and oh boy, we can feel where this is going.
What she's saying is you were having unprotected sex with her then, and even since this child's birth, you're still having unprotected sex with her, that you are a possible father.
I understand that, Your Honor.
So do you agree that you had with her during the time when Nyla was conceived?
Yes, I did.
The cringe level spikes when Mr. Lester Lester starts listing all the reasons he thinks he's not the dad. But let's be real, this was barely making his case stronger.
My first doubt, when I first met Miss Moyet, she told me her name was Mia. Come to find out her name was Iris. I left her name in my contents as Mia because she was always missing in action. She told me out of her own mouth she had a boyfriend. She didn't appreciate that I wasn't spending time with her, and that's better than me, and I asked her, well, why you calling me tonight?
The courtroom vibes hit awkward as Mr. Lester claims they always use protection. Miss Moyet fires back, no, we didn't. She looks at the judge like, why would I lie about this? The judge just sighs, clearly over their back and forth, as things start getting even more confusing.
We always had protected sex.
We had protected sex, Your Honor.
Mr. and I have never had protected sex.
Only I know how old I am, and I know what sex leads to. And I just want to point out to you the percentages having babies and how it declines.
Some more research.
Yes.
This part's where Judge Lake hits us with some real talk, and it's actually kind of sweet. It's like she's giving life advice while still knee-deep in all this drama.
Do you hear what he's saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
I know when you say you had the love of an older man, it was filling a void you felt for not having the love of your father. You were saying that. Regardless of what this result is today, I don't want you running around behind him. Do you understand me?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're better than that, and you deserve more than that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right?
The big moment everyone's been waiting for is here.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lester, you are Nyla's father.
Yes! Yes!
Ma'am.
Didn't I tell you?
You need to be respectful.
Didn't I tell you?
Oh boy, buckle up because this case starts wild and only gets crazier. With that opening, things are about to get heated and totally messy.
Mr. Dark, you say the defendant is a promiscuous liar who broke your heart 4 years ago, stepping out on your then relationship. You admit to having a one-night stand with her 2 years ago, but are furious Ms. Bailey is now claiming you fathered her 11-month-old son, which you say is impossible.
This backstory is like the soap opera you never asked for. You just know that's going to come back around and bite someone later.
We was in a relationship for about 4 years. Everything was okay. Everything was pretty good when I first met her. Some good conversations about establishing us a family and probably having kids. We lived together at that time. I left to go out of town to do some work. Went to Florida to do some work in Florida. While I was going to Florida to do some work, I talked to Ms. Bailey about almost every day.
Get ready, because here comes the I cheated, because you cheated circus act. And trust me, that's not even the half of it. Things are just warming up.
We went on to the store. Well, while we was going to the store, her friend started to tell me a story. She was like, well, I just want to tell you something. She was like, well, the whole time that you was gone, she was cheating on you.
Her best friend told you
This
that?
is what her best friend told me.
And I only did it because I thought you was cheating on me.
Okay.
So you admit you cheated on him?
I did.
And so your best friend told on you?
Yep.
This is where it all starts getting wilder, with Mr. Dark basically saying, wait, do the math. Suddenly, we've got more questions than answers, and Mr. Dark's math skills are being put to the test big time.
With the calculation and the date she's using, Mr. Dark, you're saying this would only been 8 months.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
you believe she was already pregnant when you
Yes,
all
ma'am.
were intimate in March.
She had to be already pregnant. And so I guess I was just a crutch.
Whatever.
From the beginning, I was there at the hospital when Jameer was born, even with my doubt, because in the back of my mind, I didn't never want to feel like, okay, he really was my son and I didn't do the things that I was supposed to do as a father.
The birth certificate story is a doozy because Mr. Dark says he only signed it because Ms. Bailey pressured him big time. He's now totally regretting that decision, and we're all wondering what this could mean when the DNA results come in.
And the reason why I signed the birth certificate, to answer your question, is because you told me at the hospital that if I didn't sign it right then I wouldn't have another opportunity to sign it. That's what you told me right there at the hospital.
I didn't force you to sign it. You
If
signed it on your own.
Sign it, what was gonna happen? He won't have your last name. You won't get to sign it. Did you not say that? You know you said that.
I did not tell you that. No, I said, okay, if you don't sign it, okay, that's on you.
If you thought this was a one-time drama, think again. Ms. Bailey's got a history. Now he's wondering if this is a repeat performance, and everyone in the courtroom is starting to question what's really going on here.
Ms. Bailey, have you been in a paternity situation before?
I have, with my ex.
So one of your other children, there was a paternity question surrounding that.
Yes, that he wasn't
the biological father. Do you know who your child's biological father?
Yes, I do.
History is repeating itself in this moment for you.
Oh, and just when you thought this couldn't get any messier, here comes Mr. Dark's current girlfriend with her own opinions. Now, we've got love triangles, timelines, and all sorts of drama flying around the courtroom, just like a daytime TV show.
First, in my personal opinion, I don't feel like the baby looks like him.
So you do not feel like there is a physical resemblance?
No. Well, my due date is November 19th. My conception date is February 24th.
And we're now 1 year later, but what you're saying is that you have a similar due date.
Even though he's got doubts, Mr. Dark says he's been there for Jameer anyway, taking him to family gatherings and giving him some dad time. But even with all this family drama, he's trying to be a responsible guy, and the big DNA test is just around the corner.
Jameer is 11 months old. What has been your relationship?
I was in Jameer's life. I've been a part of his life. I've kept him. I took him to Alabama with me when I went to my granny's funeral last month, and my whole family said that that's not your child.
So when Jameer with you to your family member's funeral.
Yes, ma'am.
The judge doesn't mince words here, laying down some tough truths about legal responsibility. It's a serious moment, and you can see Mr. Dark wondering if he should have brought a calculator to figure this all out sooner.
But Judge, I just it's so much she say I don't want to do for him. I bought him probably like about 15 ones when he first was born and some
Did not
stuff.
buy him nothing.
And I took him to her or whatever, but
It
because
was
of the
clothes
fact
that was already worn for someone
because
else.
of the fact had gave me these things or whatever,
Okay,
but
so
it
why
was
would you
because
say you something
her
you
baby
never
never
bought
won.
nothing?
Well, let me be clear.
It's finally time for the big reveal, and let's just say, does not disappoint. The DNA results come in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Dark, you are the father.
She was still sleeping with this man after Hannah was born. Your Honor, matter
Is
of
that
fact,
true,
matter of
Ms.
fact,
Zachary? Yes, I was. Because we decided that we wasn't
just
going
went
to
on
be
a week
together.
for about
We've
a
been
month.
on and
We
off
just
for
been on a
5
break for about a
years.
month, and we were on a break for a month. She just slept with him 2 weeks ago in my bed. She didn't go to his house. She didn't go to a hotel. It was the bed that we shared.
She came home, Your Honor. She sat next to me. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, I recognize that smell. I haven't had it in a while, but I recognize it. I said, you smell like sack. I don't know what you at work.
I'm doing that, but I'm at work all day, but that's how I come home smelling,
Yeah,
really.
sometimes you tell me you been
Well,
at
we're
work
not
at-
gonna say how you smell when you come home from work.
Judge Lake introduces Ms. Cousin and her mom, who dragged Mr. Bell into court, saying he's the dad of her 7-month-old baby, Taquan. Mr. Bell fires back, saying he's not the dad and insists it's all a plot to mess up his relationship.
Miss Cousin, you and your mother say you had no choice to drag the defendant, Mr. Bell, into court today because you're fed up with his lies. He denies being the father of your 7-month-old son, Taquan, and has even gone to the extreme by blocking all contact with you.
Ms. Cousin's mom doesn't hold back and launches into a full-on roast of Mr. Bell, calling him a two-timing liar. With all this shade flying, Judge Lake turns her attention to Mr. Bell for his side of the story.
Fed up with his lies because he a two-timing liar. He told my daughter that he was single, that he was not in a relationship because I seen his picture on her phone. When she started being with him, I seen how her attitude changed. I knew then that she was pregnant. I met you at a relative house.
Things go up a notch as Ms. Cousin's mom spills the tea about receipts she found for lunches her daughter bought for Mr. Bell. Judge Lake raises her eyebrows at Mr. Bell, ready to hear what he has to say about these lunch dates.
A whole weekend, yeah. And then not only that, y'all had lunch together.
Can't she let her
at
daughter
work.
talk?
She wasn't there. Room. I go in her room. I found receipts with 2 combos on it. You know, at the end of the day.
2 combos
meal for lunch.
If she paying for it, of course I'm gonna take the food. She paying for it.
Yeah, and y'all in a relationship.
What you mean?
Destiny steps up, and wow, does she have a lot to say about how Mr. Bell used her like a walking ATM. The crowd is silent, waiting for Judge Lake's take on this bizarre relationship.
We met at this job that we was working at. When I first met him, he told me he wasn't with no one. I never slept with no one else at work. Every time I go out to get lunch, he right behind me. What you eating for lunch? Can you buy me something? Meet me downtown. Tell me can I pay his phone bill every time I get paid.
When she should have been.
Were you paying his phone bill?
Yes.
Just when you think this story can't get wilder, Destiny's mom reveals how she and her husband have been covering all of Taquan's expenses. Judge Lake gives Mr. Bell a sharp look, clearly ready to hear his excuse.
Because me and my husband have been doing it for the last 7 months. Buying milk, strollers, walkers, baby bed, car seat, everything. That take a toll on me. Destiny was on a good route, somewhere to work. Once she got that job, fell into the footsteps of him. And today, I'm walking in her shoes. I've been taking care of Taquan.
Mr. Bell's response is so chill, you'd think he's talking about the weather. Judge Lake warns him to get real, reminding him that his version doesn't exactly add up. You can tell the judge is about to unleash some major truth bombs.
What was the nature of the relationship in your mind?
We met at work. I only seen her outside of work maybe twice. We was never together because I had to go home to her. I was staying with her and my kid.
Were you flirting with her at work?
Yeah.
Now it's getting juicy. Mr. Bell and Destiny go back and forth about who told him about the pregnancy first, with Mr. Bell insisting he heard it from her manager, not her. Judge Lake gives Mr. Bell a side eye that says, "I'm not buying it."
She didn't tell you, she told the manager, and the manager told you.
And once I went to her and told her that it's not mine, the first thing, I don't want no baby by you anyway.
I don't want a baby by you anyway is different from the baby is not yours. Which did she say?
Both.
Why you lying?
Just give me up, man, so I can go on my life and you go find your baby daddy, man.
And now, the plot thickens as Mr. Bell's girlfriend, Ms. King, takes the stand, talking about how she found out about Destiny. Judge Lake's about to dig even deeper into this love triangle.
He gave me her name or whatever. I searched for her on Instagram. Of course I'm gonna search. I see Cortez is her profile picture, and I see her bio. She's like, oh, I love him. That's the one for me and stuff like that. So I requested her. I didn't really think nothing of it. It looked real immature to me because they didn't have physical pictures together. I wouldn't believe that they were in a real relationship.
Destiny doesn't hold back, setting the record straight by saying she and Mr. Bell were together 3 times, unprotected. Everyone's hanging on to see what he'll say next.
We slept together 3 times, unprotected, and he know that.
Where'd you all go?
We'll go anywhere.
Where we went? Where did we go?
In the car, it don't matter.
Where did we go?
And we went
Since
to the
was
club
on
with
date.
your cousin now. You know that.
So what you're saying is you all would go out but you didn't think he was in a relationship?
No, he told me he wasn't in a relationship when I first met him.
Hold on to your popcorn, because Destiny claims the one time Mr. Bell did see Taquan, he had the nerve to ask for, you guessed it, intimacy. You can tell the judge is just waiting for Mr. Bell to slip up even more.
Now, Destiny, you said he came to see the baby one time.
Yes,
but when he came to see the baby, he wanted to have sex.
He said, would you have sex with me? I was like, no. He's like, what, you scared of your boyfriend? And when he came, he had a flat tire. He asked to use my sister four-wayer to take the tire off. So my daddy was trying to help him. And when he came in to see Taquan, he said, oh, Taquan look like you and your mama.
Judge Lake drops the bomb.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Bell, you are the father.
Thank you, Lord Jesus. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Right from the jump, this whole thing is just bananas. Mr. Barlow's got 8 kids, and he says they all look like him, except for one, little Jabril, who he sure isn't his. Oh boy, things are about to get real messy.
Mr. Barlow, you say your 8 kids look exactly like you, but the defendant's son, Jabril, looks nothing like you. And that's because you're not his father, and you know who is.
Here we go, things are heating up. Mr. Barlow starts dishing out details about all these shady calls he made to Ms. Winslow while he was away, where she kept saying the landlord was over. The back and forth is pure drama, and we're not even close to done yet.
I believe she was sleeping with the landlord.
You do?
Yeah.
And that's not possible, Your Honor. The landlord.
Why do you believe that? What evidence do you have?
While I was away, I would call all the time because I got a long past of infidelity.
A very long
so
history.
I left. When I went away, she said pay back some.
Okay, plot twist. The landlord is suddenly super generous and things get weird. Ms. Winslow explains that the landlord let her move in without a big deposit because she'd gotten scammed by another landlord. This story's only getting crazier, and Mr. Barlow's side-eyeing gets worse.
What I went to do is get my lights cut on, and they told me that the place that I was trying to rent wasn't even rentable. Therefore, I'm driving around in a U-Haul with no place to go. I come across a landlord. I have no money. I just gave my $2,000 to a landlord. Okay, well, since you don't have anything right now, and I see you with your 3 children in a U-Haul truck, when you get the deposit back from the previous landlord, then you can start paying me.
If you thought this couldn't get more awkward, welcome to Mr. Barlow's jealousy issues. Mr. Barlow's convinced something's up, and the way he's talking, it sounds like he's about to start a conspiracy club.
You know what the real problem is, Your Honor? Mr. Barlow didn't know what the landlord looked like, so when he finally saw the landlord, he was like, oh, I thought the landlord, when he found out he was around our age, that's when his insecurities came in.
I came home one time, I just popped up, right? I pop up one time, they crossing the street. I think the dude is stranger because I ain't never met him yet.
Now the plot thickens. Ms. Winslow drops a hospital mix-up bombshell. At this point, it feels like anything could be true in this saga.
He doesn't look like me or Mr. Barlow, so now that leads me to believe the only way that this baby is not this man's child, he's not mine. I believe something happened at the hospital, and it would devastate me, Your Honor. I have a strong connection with my son. Now, if this boy isn't my son, that means not only do I have to find out.
Judge Lake tries to wrap her head around the baby switch theory, and you can tell she's a little mind blown. You can feel the tension as Judge Lake walks out, and everyone's holding holding their breath for answers. It's about to get real.
You pulled up research, and this is research that talks about the fact that there are about 28,000 babies that get switched at birth in the hospital every year. Now, sometimes that's temporary, but sometimes permanently. And you have so much doubt, not just surrounding the paternity, you're the child's mother because everywhere you go, people are asking you.
Cue the dramatic return. Judge Lake announces that Ms. Winslow is, without a doubt, Jabril's biological mom, 99.999999% sure. So we finally have one answer, but Mr. Barlow's still on the fence. You know he's about to demand more proof.
These results state that the probability of maternity is 99.9999%. You, Ms. Winslow, are Jabril's mother.
That's all I needed to hear, Your Honor.
And I can see you're truly relieved.
It's a weight lifted off of my shoulder.
Time for some backstory, and it's juicy. Ms. Winslow lets loose about their on and off 11-year relationship, mentioning that Mr. Barlow has fathered multiple kids with other women while they were together. Mr. Barlow's jealousy is on full display, but the way this story's going, there's still more to come.
And I have never cheated on this man. I've been with this man for 11 years, off and on. He have not only had twins on me, but triplets as well. So it's not like a little simple thing like he hasn't done anything to me. Yes, as a woman, I stand here with my backbone, and I've accepted all of his wrongdoing.
Now things get official. Ms. Winslow whips out the birth certificate with Mr. Barlow's signature on it. That signature makes him legally responsible, whether or not he's the bio dad. It's getting intense, and you know it's all leading up to the big reveal.
The birth certificate, Your Honor, that Mr. Barlow so gracefully signed.
So, Mr. Barlow, this is your name?
Yes,
listed as the father on the birth certificate.
Yes, it is.
So
I was there during the delivery. I was there to sign the birth certificate because there's no way for me to say this is not my child. I got 9 children, and out of those other 8 children,
the moment everyone's been waiting for, DNA time.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Barlow, you are the father.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, this is about to get wild. Judge Lake introduces the case, Thomas v. Zachary, where Mr. Thomas wants a DNA test to find out if he's really the dad of little Hannah. And let me tell you, things are about to get messy real quick.
Mr. Thomas, you claim you've been petitioning the court system for a DNA test for 15-month-old Hannah Thomas for more than a year now.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right out the gate, Mr. Thomas goes off saying he's been begging for this DNA test for over a year. He says he signed the birth certificate because he was tricked. Yeah, this dude's ready to bring some major drama, and it's only just beginning.
Now, you've been notified that you will be paying support because you signed the birth certificate, but claim it was under false pretenses. Now, the court will decide whether there's reasonable cause to grant you a DNA test today.
Oh, and here comes Ms. Zachary, already calling Mr. Thomas out. She says he knew all along he'd be on the hook for child support since she had to apply for help. She's got a totally different story, and you can just feel the awkward tension building.
That is a lie, what he's saying. He knew that he was going to pay child support because I received a medical card. I also received cash assistance. I have to cooperate with child support in order to receive those assistance.
Your Honor, me and Rakaya were separated towards July. August, we got back together, you know, towards the end of August, into September, she told me I feel pregnant. And we went to buy like maybe 4 or 5 pregnancy tests.
Mr. Thomas thinks he's got the timeline all figured out, saying he and Ms. Zachary got back together, and soon after she told him she was pregnant, he figured, hey, that's my kid. But oh boy, if only things stayed that simple.
Now, I found out that I was pregnant September 18th, to be exact with you. I went to that doctor's appointment and I came home. I handed him the papers. This is my results at the doctor. This is my proof of pregnancy.
No, Your Honor, I never received any paperwork, Your Honor. She said she was between 3 to 5 weeks. We got back together in August. We were having a lot of makeup sex, you can say. So I'm like, okay.
Now, here's where Mr. Thomas starts getting real suspicious. He says Ms. Zachary started looking way too pregnant for the timing she gave him. Things just weren't adding up for him. But little did he know, this was just the start of his head-scratching moments.
So you're doing the calculation in your mind and you say if baby was conceived in August, then
more than likely I didn't have any doubts that it was my baby. After a couple months, you know, I'm looking like, wow, you know, she's getting kind of big, kind of fast, you know. She's, 5, 6 weeks. What's going on?
Okay, so this doctor's visit really sends Mr. Thomas's brain spinning. He sees paperwork showing she's further along than she told him. And he's like, hold up, those dates don't match. But hey, it's about to get even weirder as they keep talking.
And to the doctor, maybe probably was about 3 or 4 weeks later. later, you know, and he was telling me like, look, you need to be honest about smoking cigarette. Here's her paperwork. And he showed me the paperwork and it said 15 or 17 weeks or something like that. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, y'all.
No.
Yes.
The doctors asked her, told her, encouraged her to stop smoking, but you also gotta look at the paperwork.
Now let's talk about that break. Mr. Thomas is all, a break doesn't mean you start dating other people. But Ms. Zachary's like, yeah, that's exactly what a break means. These two clearly need a dictionary, but wait till you hear what Mr. Thomas says next.
Break for us is, I'm leaving out the house, I'm gonna go to my parents' house for a while, or you leave and you go with your mom or something like that.
No, that's not a break.
That was a break between us, and we were always back together within a month's time. So it was still no excuse. A break is not an excuse to go sleep with someone and have a child by someone else at all.
Oh boy, this part's a doozy. Mr. Thomas says he signed the birth certificate after they had a secret deal. If her other guy stayed out of the picture, he'd keep things quiet. Not exactly the recipe for family bonding, huh?
And then you signed the birth certificate when you were at the hospital.
He had her sister come get the children. I came up to the hospital. I was with her the whole night, all until she had the baby. I was there. It was no problem. This was the agreement from the beginning. If the guy that I believe is Hannah's dad, if he didn't have any part, anything, I would sign a birth certificate and Hannah would never know a thing. This would be the biggest family secret that we ever had, and I had no problem with that.
Hold on to your popcorn, because this is where it gets even messier. Mr. Thomas drops the bomb that Ms. Zachary recently saw her other guy and even brought him to their shared home. Just when you think it can't get crazier, Ms. Zachary has something to say that'll make your jaw drop.
She was still sleeping with this man after Hannah was born. Yana, matter
Is
of
that
fact,
true,
matter of
Miss
fact,
Zachary?
Yes, I was. Because we decided that we wasn't
just
going
went
to
on
be
a
together.
week for about
We've
a
been
month.
on and off
We just
for
been on a
5
break for about a
years.
month, and we were on a break for a month. She just slept with him 2 weeks ago in my bed. She didn't go to his house. She didn't go to a hotel. It was the bed that we shared.
Enter Mr. Hill, Mr. Thomas's uncle, who just adds fuel to this blazing fire. He says he doesn't think Mr. Thomas is the dad, and even claims Ms. Zachary once showed him a picture of the real father. It's like a soap opera at this point, and Mr. Hill isn't done stirring the pot.
I don't think that he is the father of Hannah.
You don't?
And the reason why is because she just don't look like him. And another reason, one time me and, Rakaya was hanging out in the house. They had got into it. He had left to get some air. She had actually showed me pictures. I don't know if she was mad or I don't know if she was in the feelings or something. I had never told him this, ever.
Here we go, because this phone bit is just pure chaos. Mr. Thomas finds a contact on Ms. Zachary's phone labeled Hannah's dad. That's not even his number. His trust is officially gone. And now a DNA test feels more necessary than ever.
You know, I was going through her phone the other day. I see Hannah's dad.
Really?
I see the number in Hannah's dad, it put a smile on my face, I'm like, oh yeah, I've been gone for a couple weeks, She got my name under Hannah's dad, we're getting there, and I look at it and I'm like, hold on. And I'm reading a text message, and I'm like, this isn't me. This isn't even my phone number. The rest of the kids come and tell me Hannah's dad was here.
Things get surprisingly sad here as Mr. Thomas pours his heart out about how much he loves the kids and worries he might lose his place in their lives. With the test coming up, all he can do is cross his fingers and hope.
Even my oldest daughter, she always, when I'm gonna see my little sister? I don't walk around telling people this is not my daughter. All of her kids look at me like their father. I'm their father. When I get in from work, it can be 2 o'clock in the morning, it can be 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They're choking me to death, trying to get up and hug me. Hannah, she's jumping up and down when I come through the door. I love the kids just like they my kids, and they are my kids.
Here it is, folks, the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Thomas, you are her father.
Whoa, talk about a wild start. Ms. Petty is telling the judge that she wants her daughter, Alea, to have a dad because she didn't have one growing up. And hold up, because things are about to get a lot. Oh boy, here we go. Mr. Daniel, the other guy getting tested, is Ms. Petty's current boyfriend, and he's been having dreams and nightmares. It's got a whole lot weirder, and we're not done yet. Wait, what? That's just the beginning of the roller coaster. Mr. Ball says he's sure he's not the dad because Alea has Mr. Daniel's last name on her birth certificate. Just when you think things couldn't get crazier, they totally do. Oh boy, here's where the judge gets real with them. Judge Lake tells Ms. Petty that she's repeating the cycle of her own childhood by having a kid with dad drama. And just when you think they're all gonna calm down, they don't. Awkward. Ms. Petty talks about how she had to deal with a bunch of bullies in school because she was dating Mr. Ballet. But spoiler alert, those school bullies were the least of her problems compared to what's happening now.
When I first met Mr. Ball.
Around the time Alea was conceived. And, oh yeah, the judge is not impressed, but she's got more to deal with than she signed up. He knew Ms. Petty had a past thing with Mr. Ballet, but he's been there for Alea from the start. Just when things were almost sweet, his doubts start to creep back in.
But you two were in a relationship, right?
Yes.
Because she's both of their mother.
Yes.
This part might actually make you go, aw. Mr. Daniel shares that he was a foster kid himself and doesn't want that for Alea, so he's been stepping up. The judge gives him props for trying. Took a wild turn. Mr. Daniel says he once caught Ms. Petty and Mr. Bal together, and he's got all the juicy details. This is one love triangle gone very, very wrong.
Did you find evidence that they were together?
I came home, I see his car outside, so I walk around to the window. I look in there, and all of a sudden, looking around to see what's going on, I see her hand, he's laying down, her hands is in his boxers.
What? You all had another sexual encounter that day.
I wasn't even trying to that day.
But not about
I promise you.
The moment everyone's been waiting for, the DNA results.
Is the biological father. Mr. Ball, you are her father.
Now here's the kicker. Mr. Richardson signed the birth certificate even though he wasn't even sure he was the dad. She's saying he had every chance to back out, but now he's regretting it. Things are about to get even more awkward.
Mr. Richardson, you claim you made a huge mistake. You signed the birth certificate of the defendant's 2-month-old son, DeMarlon, even though you doubt you are his father. You want to prove your case before you end up paying child support for a baby you know isn't yours.
And here's where it starts getting hilarious. Mr. Richardson says he had doubts because the baby looked, well, way too light. Judge Lake reminds them that looks aren't everything, but Mr. Richardson is still side-eyeing the whole thing. You won't believe how they met.
When I saw the baby, he was so white. He looked like a Mexican or something. He was just real light.
A Mexican? That doesn't matter. Children come in all shapes and sizes, and he just spent 9 months or more in the womb.
That's true. Yana, you gotta realize, when I was dating her, she was very sneaky.
Believe it or not, this whole situation started in a club of all places. Mr. Richardson remembers meeting Ms. Robbins there, and right off the bat, she told him she was married, but kind of hinted she'd be open to hanging out. Now, they're bringing up the night DeMarlon was conceived.
I met her at a club, came, approached her, didn't think she was gonna give me the time of day or nothing.
So he pursued me.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. I did pursue you.
For a long time.
And we got to talking, and then she told me, she said, I'm married, but I'm willing to maybe see you or something, play around with you.
Things get weirdly specific as Ms. Robbins describes the night they think they made DeMarlon, a night she calls a blessing for her new home. The judge is just trying to keep a straight face at this point. Wait till you hear about the pregnancy test.
Is DeMarlon's biological father?
No doubt. And I know that, like, the night we conceived, it was me and him. I remember a lot. He doesn't even remember, like, people's names, his middle name. He don't remember nothing. So how are you going to say that you remember the night that we conceived when you can't even remember what the next...
Do you remember the night?
I remember the night.
Okay.
This part gets even stranger when they take her to Ulcror, when they take the pregnancy test together, but Mr. Richardson is still acting like he's not totally convinced. Pretending gets him through for now, but it's clear he's full of doubts, and he's about to lay out his reasons.
What do you want to do? I said, we're gonna have the baby because we're doing some stupid stuff. Not gonna blame this child. We're gonna have it.
So you decided that we should have the baby?
You were pretending like you were happy?
That's nice. That's nice. And still be with me the whole time.
Sneaky, but I mean,
like, I don't get it.
I mean, because
of what? I'm sorry.
Pregnant sex.
Okay.
Just when you think it couldn't get worse, Mr. Richardson drops more reasons why he's not buying this whole dad thing. Mr. Richardson feels it's just one more reason not to trust the situation, but then he starts questioning her finances.
Mr. Richardson, please tell me if there's any other reason you have doubt.
I went to one doctor's appointment with her, right? And then I went to go to the other ones. She told me, no, you don't have to come.
I don't need you to hold my hand.
I don't need you to hold my hand.
You're telling me he's not mine, this is not my baby, all this the whole time. So why would I let you be a part of that?
Now, we dive into the money mystery. Mr. Richardson wants to know where Ms. Robbins suddenly got cash for Christmas. Ms. Robbins is just rolling her eyes, saying she got it all legit. Next up, things get personal as he accuses her of cheating.
Christmas time, she just moved into our new place. She had to put down $2,800. She was complaining to me that I have no Christmas money to buy.
But I didn't ask you for any money at that time either, did I?
She come up with all this money after she put this down payment on her to move in our place. And I said, where you get this money from? She told me I got it from my 401k. I said, that fast?
Well, I have been on my job as what they call a Christmas account.
And here's where things get spicy. Mr. Richardson thinks Ms. Robbins was out with someone else because she came home smelling like intimacy. Judge Lake tries to keep the peace, but Mr. Richardson's doubts are getting bigger by the second. And then there's the whole missed DNA test appointment.
She came home, Yana. She sat next to me. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, I recognize that smell. I haven't had it in a while, but I recognize it. I said, you smell like sack. I don't know what you at work.
I'm doing that, but I'm at work all day, but that's how I come home smelling, really?
Sometimes you tell me you better
we're not going to say how you smell when you come home from work.
Well,
Here's the kicker. Ms. Robbins actually had an appointment for a DNA test, but ended up canceling it, which only makes Mr. Richardson more suspicious. Judge Lake points out that dodging the test looks pretty fishy. By now, the judge has had enough.
She made an appointment. We supposed to split 1:35. It was 2 something to go get a DNA test. She said, I set an appointment. I'm gonna come at 4:30. 3:30 come, sitting around, okay. Appointment's at 4:30. 4 o'clock come, we sitting around. 4:15, we sitting around. I'm like, what's up? And I asked her.
But did you go to the appointment?
No, Your Honor.
This case hits a boiling point as Judge Lake starts calling them out for all this back and forth nonsense. But finally, she's about to reveal the results, and everyone's on edge.
This is honest, Miss Robbins. Whether he's right or wrong, only the DNA is gonna be able to decide that. He feels like what you say has no credibility. Because when you met him, you not married, then you was married, then you gotta get your divorce decree online. You don't have a physical copy of it. And in this moment in time, you have the opportunity to resolve all of this and shut him up.
Judge Lake decides to really push Ms. Robbins on why she dodged the DNA test that could have solved all of this. The judge gives both of them a piece of her mind about all these games. And now, here come the DNA results.
That looks like you dodging the test.
But I'm not, though.
We got the appointment.
We were going to
reschedule it now. Why?
We rescheduled it because I told him that we could do it at a later.
Was it because he was already on the birth certificate and you felt like, you know what, you the legal father anyway, so I really don't have to get up out of my bed.
No, I really didn't care about
playing games and being silly while DeMarlon is still on pause.
At long last, the big reveal is here.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Richardson, you are the father.
You won't believe this? Stay tuned as this is about to get seriously messy. Mr. Andrews and his mom are suing Ms. Corbett, saying she faked his signature on their kid's birth certificate. And trust me, it's just getting started.
Mr. Andrews, you and your mother are in court today suing your ex, Ms. Corbett, for paternity fraud because you claim she forged your signature on the birth certificate of her 5-month-old son, who you believe is not your biological son.
Things are heating up as Mr. Andrews spills the tea on the day of the baby's birth, and you'll want to see who jumps in next with their side of the story.
Day of the birth, I cut the umbilical cord. I requested a blood test. I stayed at the hospital for like 24 hours, and the following day I ended up leaving to retrieve a car seat. I didn't sign nothing.
You claim somebody put your name on the birth certificate.
Yeah, obviously.
No, it's no way possible for me to just put his name on a birth certificate. The only reason why he's saying that he did not sign the birth certificate is because his mother told him not to sign my child's birth certificate.
If you thought things couldn't get wilder, think again. Mr. Andrews throws out a big one, accusing Ms. Corbett of, well, seeing the whole neighborhood. Judge Lake steps in, telling everyone to keep it respectful, but we all know it's about to get even juicier.
I wouldn't even call it a relationship, Your Honor, because she slept with the whole damn city, the whole neighborhood.
Let's use respectful language in the courtroom.
She slept around with everybody in our neighborhood.
If that was true, I would have slept with her husband because he wanted me to.
Oh, Lord.
That's a lie.
Okay, let's stay on track.
Now, here's where things go full detective mode. Mr. Andrews pulls out a diagram of the apartment, explaining why he thinks Ms. Corbett had another guy over. But wait until you hear about the mystery text.
Your Honor?
What does this diagram show?
This right here is a 2-story apartment building. This right here, like 2 feet from the driveway, is like the front entrance. And you could sit right here and like literally watch all this. And if somebody murdered him over here, it'd be real obvious. The guy she had in there tried to creep around and sneak on this side of the building and come out. She even had a bike in inside the house.
Just when you think this can't get crazier, in comes Mr. Andrews with another bombshell. Ms. Corbett rolls her eyes, calling him a liar. But hang on, because next, it's about the baby.
Is this your only doubt?
No, ma'am. Phone messages in her phone where some guy obviously was telling her, leave the back door open and be naked when I arrive.
Oh, you saw the message?
Yes, ma'am. She denied that in my face. I'm looking at the message in the phone. That's one reason.
Ms. Corbett?
That's like the third reason. The other reason I just showed you on the diagram.
And now it's accusation central. Ms. Corbett claims Mr. Andrews barely sees the baby and once even threatened to drop him off at a fire station. But she's about to lay down the law about what really matters here, paternity.
So how many times have you seen Quinn Jr.?
Over a dozen times.
So you spent quality time with him?
He does not. I have to beg him for to come get my child. He was there 6 days. I told Quinn, I said, Quinn, you have to come meet me somewhere. I can't drive all the way down there. He was gonna drop my child off at a fire station.
Your Honor, I told her that just to get her to move because she lied to me and told me she was threatening me with the police.
Surprise, surprise.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Andrew, you are the father.
Let it be known.
There was a time I came home from work and there was a text message on the phone. I picked up the phone, they texted back, I texted, can we do the same thing that we did the last time we hung out? Said some things and that's when the picture of the junk came through. And, you know, that's what maybe, so I know something was going on.
So you do have a sugar daddy?
Yeah, I got me a good sugar daddy. My sugar daddy been there for 10 years, have never ever left my side. I would never leave him. He come way before this. We've never had sex before. You know, he might want some pictures, but
Oh!
I guess it's jealousy. I don't know what it is, Your Honor.
Well, I will take a lie detector test on that one.
Things are already heating up as Ms. Woodbury struts in, claiming she's 110% sure Mr. Cage is the father. Judge Lake, nodding along, gets it. Woodbury is here to clear her name in front of the world. But hold up, Mr. Cage has his own version of the story.
Ms. Woodbury, you claim you are 110% certain that your fiance, Mr. Cage, is the father of your 1-year-old son, Lexington. You say your reality TV persona has put you in the position of having to prove paternity to Mr. Cage, but also all of the naysayers on social media and the world.
Mr. Cage spills the beans and admits he's had doubts since the beginning. Oh boy, here we go. He says that from the moment Woodbury was pregnant, heard rumors left and right on social media. She's not about to stay quiet.
Mr. Cage, you say your paternity doubt began when the plaintiff was pregnant because of the many rumors that came from friends and others on social media. You are hoping today's results will prove you are the father.
Ms. Woodbury is over it, blaming her reality TV image for making things worse. She's clearly fed up with the rumors about her character. Now, let's find out how this whole crazy relationship started.
I don't have feelings for no one else but this man. There's always gonna be people in his ear no matter where we go, just because I do have that reality star TV persona. It could be not even denying our son or anything. No matter what I do with my life, someone has an opinion.
Your public persona, often you're portrayed as a girl that's fun, carefree, living life, sexy, fun.
Their love story is something else, sliding into DMs to instant romance. Mr. Cage says they met thanks to a mutual friend on social media, and Ms. Woodbury invited him to one of her events. But trust me, it gets wilder after that first night.
Can you take me back to how you met and tell the court how you feel about this public persona?
I didn't get with her because of her persona. I got with her because of the person she was. When I first met her, she hit me up on Instagram through a Snapchat from a friend that she saw, and she was just like, hey, I have an event, you know, I want you to come out, I want you to hang out with me and some of my friends.
You can't bring your friend.
But you can't bring your friend.
Things got serious fast when they ended up together that night. No protection, no worries, just vibes. Ms. Woodbury and Mr. Cage say they didn't even label it a relationship at first, but the plot thickens with what people started saying next.
So what does that mean? Do the walkthrough.
Yeah.
I invited him back home, and then he didn't leave after that. He stayed.
What you're saying is you went back to your place, and you all were intimate on the first night?
Yes.
Did you use protection?
No.
Oh, y'all are doing the most. So we start off irresponsible.
Yeah.
Just when you think it can't get any messier, Mr. Cage shares how his friends warned him not to trust her. This definitely didn't help when Ms. Woodbury dropped the pregnancy bombshell.
I mean, like, people were always telling me, they were just like, even some of her co-stars, they were just like, hey, listen, don't trust Kaylee, she's out there. And I say birds of a feather flock together. So it was just like, oh, if you're hanging out with them, you must be...
Were you out there, Miss Woodbury? Tell the truth. What was going on?
Then I wasn't sleeping around. I was having fun. I'm 21, but I'm going out dancing.
Ms. Woodbury found out she was pregnant, but Mr. Cage's reaction was priceless. He didn't believe her. She remembers feeling weird and going to get a test, which came back positive. He only half believed her even after the second test, but soon he starts wondering who else might be involved.
So at some point, Miss Woodbury, you find out you're pregnant. Take me to that day.
I think it was a year after we finally settled down, and I haven't been feeling right. I just feel weird. I just got up and went to the store. So I went up, got a test, and shortly after that, it said, positive, you're pregnant. Just yelled that to him, and I was like, hey, you're gonna be a dad.
So what was the response? Were you happy?
I was like, you're lying.
And here comes the plot twist. Mr. Cage starts suspecting. Then there's this awkward moment where the other guy pretty much hints the baby could be his. Mr. Cage recalls being in the car with this dude who goes, yeah, I got her and the baby covered. Naturally, Cage's paternity doubts only got worse from here.
Like, we were in the car, and before we got out there, we were just letting him know that she was pregnant. And he was like, oh yeah, I already know. The baby gonna gonna be good. That's my girl, you know, like.
That's my girl. But yeah, other people say that to our friends all the time, and you don't think anything of it. But when it's to me, it's like.
Because I know
to me, it's my
well,
girl.
the
Like, that's
correct
my girl.
response
And,
would have been congratulations, right?
Yeah.
As if things weren't complicated enough, Cage reveals everyone around him told him to get a DNA test. Things are definitely getting heated, and Cage admits the whole situation was messing with his head.
It started with people around her. They're very close to both of us. They're like, you need to get a DNA test because we don't even trust it.
I didn't know that part,
when we were filming, and I told you specifically that me and this person sat down because she couldn't film. Yeah, you remember that now, don't you?
The
She
DNA
told me
thing.
everything. She told me not to trust you. She told me about the guy, how not to trust you and the guy. She told me all of that, and she told me to watch out.
Judge Lake isn't holding back, telling Cage he's been acting supportive but secretly doubting Woodbury all along. But the doubt still lingers, and it's about to get way more intense.
You really weren't living your best life.
Yeah.
Right? And Miss Woodbury, what it seems like to me is this public persona was affecting your relationship.
Very much so. And then especially when it's like our child, and you're gonna deny him, it hurts because there are fathers out there, are the father of a child, and they still deny it. And I don't. Like, you could 110% look, that's his.
Even though he had doubts, Cage was there for Lexington's birth and even signed the birth certificate. She knows there's more under the surface here.
He signed the birth certificate.
Signed the birth certificate.
I had to be there.
And now Lexington is a year old.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You're his daddy.
Yep.
You have a relationship and bond with this beautiful baby. And yet somewhere deep inside you, there's just that question mark that won't go away.
I just want closure.
But there's no denying him. Find a picture,
I just
and it
want
looks
closure.
a spitting image.
Judge Lake calls out Ms. Woodbury, saying that trying to prove the resemblance just shows how insecure she is about it. Right when you think it's done, things take a wild turn.
When you start singing a song about, and see, says he's got dimples and he's got dimples. He's got an eye and he's got an eye. Right? What it tells me is there is doubt, and you are trying to give him facts to convince him. When you gotta convince, there's doubt. It just means that the doubt is real. Am I lying?
You're being 100%.
Surprise! Ms. Woodbury drops a bombshell. She's pregnant with Cage's second child. The suspense in the room is real, as Cage explains how he really feels about fatherhood.
In this courtroom, that's defunct testimony because it doesn't mean anything. So the truth is the stakes are really high because you're pregnant again, Miss Woodbury.
I am. With the same man that laid with me the first time.
So we're having another baby. Have you thought about, what if Lexington is not my child?
We would have a long talk resulting in me going somewhere else. Yes.
Cage lays it all out, saying he'll always be in Lexington's life, but isn't so sure about staying with Woodbury. With emotions running high, Judge Lake moves to the moment of truth, the DNA test results.
I'll make sure of that, but with me and you, it's a whole different thing. I want to make sure that they're in a healthy family, not a broken.
So, Miss Woodbury, I see the tears in your eyes. How did that make you feel? It was like the wind got knocked out of you.
It hurt.
And now his feelings about the relationship is that the relationship is contingent upon what's in that envelope Jerome had.
Boom, it's official.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Cage, you are the father.
Thank you.
Right off the bat, things get wild. Mr. McCormick says he thought Ms. Ball was the perfect girlfriend, but turns out she's a serial cheater, and he's not shy about calling her out either. This is gonna get messy.
Mr. McCormick, you say you thought you found the perfect woman until you discovered the love of your life, just a serial cheater on a rampage. You say Ms. Ball is a shameless adulteress, and there is no way you are her son Gavin's father.
Ms. Ball isn't letting that one slide. She admits she's cheated a few times, but insists that Mr. McCormick is Gavin's dad. But just wait till you hear his evidence against her. He brought props.
Ms. Ball, you admit to having stepped out on your relationship in the past, but you are positive Mr. McCormick is the father of your son, and you intend to prove paternity today.
Oh yeah, Mr. McCormick came prepared. He's got a whole exhibit on how to catch a cheater. He's all like, she loves trucks a little too much. It's both hilarious and a bit much, honestly.
Well, Your Honor, I found text messages, seen her getting in strange vehicles, seen videos. what haven't I found? Like, you know, there's no way that I could be this child's father. I'm starting to become numb to all this. It's getting old.
Your Honor, there have been several times I have cheated, and I've been honest with him and told him about the times I've cheated.
This guy takes things to the next level with some undercover detective work. He even got sent a photo that wasn't exactly family friendly. Yep, he's pretty sure she's guilty, but Ms. Ball is not amused.
There was a time I came home from work and there was a text message on the phone. They texted back, I texted, can we do the same thing that we did the last time we hung out? Said some things, and that's when the picture of the junk came through. And, you know, that's what maybe, so I know something was going on.
Oh, yes, something was going on.
Judge Lake tries to make sense of this whole mess, but there's still plenty more for her to explain, and we're all ears.
All of this cheating leads you to believe that Gavin is not your biological son.
Yeah, you know,
all right,
all
Gavin
these situations going on, I'm thinking, how could this kid, you know, be mine?
He's crazy.
That was a lot of information.
He knows Gavin is his
But
child.
you have admitted to cheating.
I have.
You said that. I have admitted it.
Ms. Ball tries to back up her claim with some math. Mr. McCormick isn't buying it, though. He's still got questions, and things aren't about to calm down.
When the doctor did the sonograms, he estimated that I became pregnant around June 20th. As far as the advancements of the baby adds up, and he was early. I mean, he came 32 weeks.
So did you ever tell any of the guys
I had said I'm pregnant, but I wasn't going to leave Ryan.
Just when you think she's done confessing, Ms. Ball spills even more tea. She even admits she told this other dude she was pregnant. Judge Lake looks like she's heard it all, but she's about to get more details.
It's a relationship you carried on for 6 months, and whether you had sex 3 times or 30 times, you told this guy, I'm pregnant, you may be the father, but I get what you're saying. You immediately, because you're good at that, you just kind of spin your way out of it, because I'm staying with him.
No, I'm not going to make it be his.
Well, that's what you really are saying.
He chose. I gave him an option.
Mr. McCormick's doubts are now through the roof, folks. The only thing that'll settle this now is the paternity test, and they all know it.
It's like, you know, we had unprotected sex for, you know, years, and then, you know, at least a couple years, and then when I found out she had cheated, then, you know, then she ends up pregnant. It just doesn't make sense.
That's paternity doubt right there, right, Jerome?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what we do here. Where do we go from here? If Gavin is not your biological child.
If he's not my biological, have to leave. I don't know. I'm pretty attached to him, Your Honor.
Everyone goes totally silent as the judge finally opens that DNA envelope. And surprise!
It has been determined by this court. Mr. McCormick.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are the father.
Thank you.
Things start to get even messier as Miss Serfozo spills about her wild days. You won't believe what comes next as the party days get even more complicated. If you think that was wild, wait until Miss Serfozo drops this little nugget. She didn't use protection with Mr. Miller. And yes, it just gets juicier from here. Keep watching. Whoa, here comes the twist about more possible fathers. Yes, more. Judge Lake wants to know about the other potential dads aside.
At my best friend's house. And at that time, I found another.
But you do remember moving on and sleeping with her friend? That party remembers.
As if things weren't already off the charts confusing, Miss Serfozo talks about another guy she dated who stayed with her through her pregnancy. Oh, and you know Mr. Miller has something to say about this resemblance issue.
Any of these men?
Your Honor, that is why I'm here today.
Just when we think this love maze can't twist anymore, we find out how Mr. Miller and Miss Dreyer discovered this maybe baby existed. The room's getting tense, but there's still more to untangle. Mr. Miller left before August. There's still another month he could have been around. And yes, this alibi argument is just the beginning of their back and forth.
That's right.
So August.
I was gone from that place before August.
When was Senity born?
June 14th, ma'am.
February. Oh, I'm getting through the year. Hold on. Sometime in September could have also been a window of conception.
Right in the middle of all this, Miss Serfozo shares
I'll be in this predicament, man. But I'm the one sitting here struggling to make sure she has diapers.
Now it's Mr. Miller's turn to fight, insisting he's not one to run away from responsibility. These two keep digging their heels in, but it's clear this argument isn't going to settle down anytime soon. This whole thing started off wild right from the jump. Miss Lee comes in ready to prove Mr. Green is definitely the dad of her 3-year-old son, Kingston. But trust me, this was just the warm-up.
Ms. Lee, you have come to court today with one goal in mind, to prove to Mr. Green that he fathered your 3-year-old son, Kingston. You say Mr. Green has denied your son from the moment you got pregnant, but today his denial will end.
Things only get crazier when Mr. Green starts talking. Mr. Green says Miss Lee's been ducking and dodging any chance of a DNA test, claiming he tried, but she kept giving excuses. But hold tight, it's about to get juicier.
And I tried to reach out to her several times. She
She don't want to meet me in the middle. She always give me some runaround excuse for, you know what I mean? It don't make sense.
Mr. Green, even though you have doubt, you still have made an effort.
You know, I try to meet her halfway as far as taking the DNA test and things like that. But at the point me and her was talking, it was back and forth. We was never in no stable relationship. She knew I had a girlfriend already. She tried to break me up from that, and I told her—
He moved into my home.
This part had the whole audience gasping and clutching their pearls. But wait, there's so much more coming.
So how did you explain to your girlfriend you lived in the house with Ms. Lee?
Oh, he couldn't. I called him.
She did.
Oh!
From his phone. So, yeah, I snuck, called the girl, woke him out his sleep and made him start talking and didn't let him know she was on the phone until the end of the conversation to let her know, yeah, your dude over here and I'm pregnant, you know.
Whoa!
It is what it is.
In your mind, you knew you weren't really in a relationship with him, but he was trying to play both sides.
Right.
If you thought this was over, here comes the next twist. Miss Lee casually admits she has a sugar daddy who's been helping her out for years, and she swears it's not like that. And yes, there's even more craziness coming.
I had came out of my sugar daddy's car one day.
So you do have a sugar daddy?
Yeah, I got me a good sugar daddy. My sugar daddy been there for 10 years, have never ever left my side. I would never leave him. He come way before this. We've never had sex before. You know, he might want some pictures, but
This back and forth was hilarious, but also exhausting. Mr. Green brings out this timeline to show all the times he asked for a DNA test, saying she kept giving him the runaround. Just when you think one of them's got a point, another plot twist pops up.
First of all, he was born on June 3rd. I went to the hospital, so a few days later going by, she's telling me, oh, it's too soon for him to come outside. He was just born, this and that. She refused right then, Your Honor.
I refused because he was a day old.
Let's go ahead and get the DNA results done, this and that. Oh, my way out here in Douglasville, I don't have a ride. You gotta come get me. I'm like, why don't I have to come get you? Why you can't meet me halfway? So she refused then, Your Honor, too.
Things go from silly to serious real quick here. Miss Lee gets emotional, talking about how she just wants Kingston to have a dad because she grew up without one. But even after this, they keep going.
Why are you getting upset?
Because I feel like he been through this. So why would you do that to your only child? You get what I'm saying? Me, growing up, I mean, I didn't have a father. So I feel like if you went through all this, why would you do that to your child? I would at least go through it first and then find out. Mr. Green don't do nothing.
I do, Your Honor. Like I said, I try to reach out to her.
How many times have you got your child?
You know what I mean?
This was the moment everybody was waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Green, you are the father.
Told you! I told you! Look at him!
This part is wild right off the bat. Ms. Billingsley says she's been covering over $10,000 in baby expenses all by herself since Mr. Broadnax won't help out because he thinks the kid isn't his. Now, we all just have to wait to see if this DNA test brings out the truth or more drama. Judge steps in, trying to figure out what exactly went wrong, but buckle up, this story is far from done. Next, we're going to hear about the parties.
I was 3 weeks pregnant when I found out I was pregnant. The first person I called was Mr. Broadnax to share the news because I couldn't have been more happy that I was about to have my. When I realized how constant it had become, I requested it to stop or I was going to leave.
Now, Mr. Broadnax has a reason for doubting. He found some. I miss you text from Ms. Billingsley's ex. Plus, he heard she was hanging with—
And okay, my friend went to college, the same college that she went to, the same school. That's all I told her, go to school. Bubbly.
Despite having a girlfriend. The crowd's loving it, and the tension is thick, and we're all on the edge of our seats to see what'll happen next.
I will take a lie detector test on that one.
She's my baby, Your Honor. I'm not a deadbeat.
Even though he never signed the birth certificate, the crowd's practically holding their breath, waiting for these results. She and Mr. Broadnax were having issues. Everyone's hanging on, waiting to see what the DNA test will say.
So there is a chance.
Due to the fact that when he was out of town and we were constantly fighting.
Here we go, the big moment as the judge opens the DNA test results.
Mr. Broadnax, you.
Now it's Mr. Weisler's turn to drop a bomb, sharing he owes almost $21,000 in child support, but thinks the kid might not even be his. But he's got to face some crazy twists first.
You say your paycheck is garnished each week, leaving you only $70. Today's results prove you are not the young man's father. You plan to return to your home state to get this enormous debt.
Just when you thought things couldn't get weirder, Mr. Whistler says doctors once told him he couldn't have kids, so how is he paying for one? He explains this whole medical thing that should have made him dad-proof, which he totally believed. And you won't believe where this goes next.
I always ask her, are you for sure it is mine?
You had doubts from the beginning.
Yes, ma'am. I had a torsion. You know, the doctor said right there, no, you're...
So the doctors told you you weren't
Yes, Your Honor.
able to have children due to a medical condition.
Things get even messier when Frazier admits there was someone else in the picture, but Whistler had already signed the birth certificate, basically locking him into dad duty. But trust me, we haven't even hit the biggest twist yet.
Him to have you told me if I wanted that kid to have my last name and I wanted to claim him, I would be there for the birth.
Yeah.
And I was there.
That's
and
why
I
it's got
did
your
it.
last name.
And then it come out all this time.
At 6 months, you knew.
Yeah, at 6 months after birth.
And here's where it just gets bananas. Whistler says Frazier told him about the other potential dad, and the kid was already 6 months old. This is only scratching the surface of what's to come.
Were you told that there could be a question regarding the paternity?
Yes, Your Honor. He told me straight up, yes, it could be this other man's.
Because he was proud to have a son and not denying it like you.
He should be standing up if it's his kid.
He
Why
did.
am I reliable to pay this over $21,000 when I was working?
Now the judge points out the obvious. Signing the birth certificate legally made Whistler the dad. The stakes are higher than ever, and we're only getting started.
Under the law, you are
Yes,
the
Your
legal
Honor.
father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did
We
you
have-
understand that when you were signing that birth certificate that day?
Yes, Your Honor, I certainly did, but there was no
understand.
other ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was mine.
Then, it turns out, Whistler went all out to see his son over the years, even driving hundreds of miles. But every time, there were some last-minute hiccups. Just wait till you see how this story of missed visits and no-shows unravels.
Have you tried to develop any type of relationship?
Numerous times, I have traveled over 300 miles to come and see him, and I would call.
At your convenience.
And ask Miss Frazier. Sure. Then when I would get up there on my way over, I would call and say, I'm on my way.
In a surprising twist, Frazier reveals she actually tried to get the state to test the other guy, but no one ever followed through. But with this new piece of info, things are about to go down a whole new path.
He's been on the hook and responsible for child support.
I've tried to get them over and over numerous times to test the other man, and I've tried to get them to do it, and they have never done it.
So I pay for it until.
That's not me.
Yeah, it is the same
No,
thing
it's not.
as you.
Dallas himself finally steps in, and it turns out he's known all along that his dad might not be his real dad. Dallas reveals he calls Whistler dad anyway, and the crowd cheers, knowing this whole paternity saga is about to take another wild turn.
As I was growing up, I did believe he was my father, but I was always told that it could be somebody else.
You were always told.
Yeah, she was
Which is
always
consistent with your mother's testimony that she always tried to list the other person. Do you refer to him as dad? Okay. Do you have a relationship with that man?
honest. Not anymore.
Then Frazier says she tried to switch the birth certificate to the other guy's name to take Whistler off the hook. But this story is far from over as they're about to open the final chapter.
Firsthand, your mother make the attempt to change your birth certificate?
I've seen her try to get the other guy listed as the father.
So that the state wouldn't be going after him.
So you
Because I've never felt that he should have to pay the child support, and because it wasn't right.
Finally, the moment everyone's been waiting for.
Mr. Whistler, you are not his father.
Dallas, that still is not going to change my love for you and wanting to spend time with you.
I still love you too.
As for those plane tickets, you're not gonna convince me that some girl working is not gonna call an airline and put your name on some tickets and sit there and change the ticket 3 times if she has not been told that you're actually gonna show up. That didn't happen. And they end up having sex in your car?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that true, Ms. Davenport?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that true, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, Your Honor.
But that was her stipulation. He couldn't.
No,
She
Your Honor.
texted his phone and told him.
Your Honor was just trying to be a stand-up guy at the end of the day.
Oh, you was trying to be a stand-up guy.
Dark. Mr. Taylor kicks things off by telling the court how Ms. Jackson hit him with a bombshell while she was 9 months pregnant. She first said he might not be the dad of her baby, Raymond, but then changed her mind and claimed he actually was the father. And now, he's here to figure out what's going on. Spoiler alert, this drama is just getting warmed up.
Mr. Taylor, you say your fiance, Ms. Jackson, dropped a bombshell on you when she was 9 months pregnant and told you that you may not be her child's father. And while you're hoping he's yours, you're here today to prove that Raymond is not your biological child.
No.
The drama level went from 0 to 100 real quick. Mr. Taylor pours his heart out, saying he's been there for Raymond from day one, acting like a dad in every way. But now, he's worried that if the DNA test says Raymond's not his, he's walking out of court as a single man. It's like watching a soap opera live, and trust me, the emotions are only about to get messier.
Do everything for this child. And the only thing that I do know is that if this child ain't mine, I'll be walking out this courtroom today a single man.
You all are engaged. You have a family together. So there is a lot at stake here.
Yes, Your Honor.
In your opinion, do you believe he has a right to doubt this?
Yes, I do, Your Honor, because I gave him the right to doubt it, but I feel that he knows how much I care for him.
Okay, things just got wild. Ms. Jackson admits she hooked up with Mr. Green after meeting him in a shelter. She said Mr. Taylor left her stranded when he ran off to Atlanta, so she turned to Mr. Green for comfort. This story is getting complicated fast, and it's only a matter of time before it all blows up.
A few years ago, we just packed up and we moved to Florida for a fresh start. I met Mr. Green, a shelter. We ended up becoming intimate, but Mr. Taylor left me and my children stranded in Florida while he went away to, I guess, chase his dreams, knowing that we had nobody and knowing that we had nothing.
And here's where things get even crazier. Mr. Taylor drops the bomb that Ms. Jackson slept with Mr. Green just 3 days after he left for Atlanta. He's pointing out dates, saying she got pregnant real quick after he left, but she's denying it happened that fast. Oh man, you know it's about to get real messy when people start arguing about dates and times.
A few weeks.
3 days later, she was pregnant by October 12th. I left September 14th. That was less than a month.
No,
That's
I
a lie.
knew if he would have never left us there in the first place, this whole situation could have been avoided. If he would have just been a man about the situation, be a man about the situation.
He have no money.
Leave a message and say, I'm going to go.
Hold on.
Money.
Let's get some order.
Wait, what? Mr. Taylor says he found out about Ms. Jackson's pregnancy from some random dude on Facebook. Apparently, the guy messaged him, telling him she might be pregnant by Mr. Green. Taylor confronts her about it, and now everything is out in the open. But seriously, who finds out they might not be the dad from Facebook? Only in paternity court, folks.
Well, a guy that was on Facebook, he inboxed me, basically telling me that LaJoy was pregnant by Mr. Green. That was my first time even hearing about it. I confronted her.
You've been talking to her on the phone?
Yes.
And she's never mentioned I'm pregnant?
No, but I confronted her about it.
We didn't have a lot of contact with each other.
Yes,
I was still having a lot of, emotional depression over our relationship.
Facebook contact saying it was Umar Jr. though.
Oh, and just when you thought it couldn't get any juicier, Mr. Green strolls into the courtroom. He confirms that, yep, he and Ms. Jackson did have a thing while she was staying in the shelter. According to him, she told him Mr. Taylor ditched her for a rap career. Yep, you heard that right, a rap career, and Mr. Green felt sorry for her. This just keeps getting better and better.
I guess I met her in the shelter, and when I met her, she told me that he had left her for a rap career in Atlanta, just left and didn't want nothing to do with her, had nothing to do with her, didn't want to take care of the kids. So I sat there and I felt bad, we vibed, and then I was going through stuff with my baby mom at that time. Then it got to a physical level. When we left the shelter, I got my place, my condo, two bathroom by myself. I got that.
Oh snap, Ms. Jackson just dropped the truth bomb. She's not sure who the baby's father is because, well, she slept with both of them. Yeah, you heard that right. She was telling both guys they were the dad, but now she's admitting she doesn't really know. This is the kind of confession that leaves everyone in the room staring at each other like, did she just say that?
Your Honor, I don't know which one is the father because I had sex with both of them.
Thank you, just to tell the truth. So the bottom line is you really don't know. You told him he was the father. You messaging him as well. That's the truth. You signed the birth certificate?
No, I didn't. Glad I was away from me not to sign it because I probably would have signed it and probably would have paid child support.
But now, Mr. Taylor, you have stepped up to the plate.
And here comes the moment of truth. And let me tell you, it did not disappoint. The DNA results come in and boom.
It has been determined by this court. His biological father is Mr. Green.
I figured.
This part was a total roller coaster. Ms. Rice shows up in court to prove that Mr. DeBaca is the dad of her unborn baby. She says he's a cheater who even posted ads looking for new girlfriends while she was pregnant. On top of that, she wants $750 for plane tickets and money she lent him. And just when you think that's crazy, wait until you hear what Mr. DeBaca has to say.
Ms. Rice, you are appearing in court to prove the defendant, Mr. DeBaca, is the father of your unborn baby. You claim he has denied paternity. In addition to the paternity suit, you were also asking the court to award you $750 for plane tickets and a loan to Mr. DeBaca.
Yes.
Things started getting awkward real fast. The court finds out that Ms. Rice and Mr. DeBaca met through an online ad, and he claims they were only friends with benefits. But Ms. Rice thought they were headed towards a real relationship, even though they were already living together. If you think that sounds confusing, just wait, it gets weirder.
It began about 1.5 years ago. I responded to an ad on the internet. He was looking for friends. I went over to his house. We started hanging out, asked me to have sex with him,
Okay,
and
please.
he kept asking me
Okay,
and
that
asking
doesn't
me,
mean-
and I told him no, I do not sleep with guys on the first night, and I said that way more than once.
She gave in to it. She's
I
not an
finally
adult.
gave
She's
in.
not an adult. She just happened to just give in to my
So
saying.
ended up having sex.
Yes.
The drama here just kept coming. Mr. DeBaca says he's not sure the baby is his because Ms. Rice had a lot of guy friends and had supposedly been pregnant after their breakups before. He says every time they broke up, she'd call him a couple of weeks later with pregnancy news. If you're scratching your head, trust me, this story's only going to get more complicated from here.
It seems every 5 minutes I talk to her or we break up, she's pregnant. She wants to call me a couple weeks later and tell me she's pregnant. Every time that it happens, she's trying to trap me into it, so I just...
I'm not trying to trap you. Maybe if you'd own up to what you're doing.
And the reason I left, because she was texting guys telling them to come over, and her friend, her roommate, went off to this army base, and they're the only 2 girls there.
If you thought the last bit was messy, hang on. Ms. Rice calls out Mr. DeBaca for using her phone to post online dating ads, sneaking out to take photos to post for other girls. He admits he did it, but says it was all revenge because she texted other guys. Yeah, you heard that right. Revenge posting. But now, the real question, how much money did all of this cost?
When I was over there, I was looking through her phone, and she had a picture of someone dude's in her phone. Wasn't my... I have tattoos on my...
How many times do you need to say?
So I'm just saying,
He needs
that's
to
how
say
I...
it so he can.
No, that's
so
how
he
I
can
knew. No,
make
I'm just
sure
saying.
that he has it down crystal clear.
Okay, so you saw, that's one doubt. You saw the picture.
Yeah.
Money fights are always wild, but this one, wow. Ms. Rice says she spent $750 on plane tickets and loans for Mr. DeBaca, but he says he didn't owe her anything. He even questions why she sent him the money in the first place. The judge has to figure out if this was a gift or a loan, but trust me, you'll want to hear what happens next with this back and forth.
How much did the plane tickets total? $100 plus $50 in the change fee. And you say your suit is for $750. Where's the other $500 come from?
The other $500 comes from borrowed money. I'd send him $100 here, $60 there.
He call you and say
here.
what?
Can you send me money? Can you wire me money through Walmart?
No.
I want chocolate. I want juice. I want this. I want that.
Honestly, I wasn't expecting this twist. The judge decides Ms. Rice should get $250 for the plane tickets, but denies the rest of the money claim, saying it was probably a gift because she wanted to keep him around. The judge is pretty much saying, nice try, but no. But hold on, the real bombshell is about to drop when the DNA results come in.
And for that reason, Ms. Rice, I cannot award you the $500 that you say you sent him because I believe it was a gift. As for those plane tickets, you're not going to convince me that some girl working is not going to call an airline and put your name on some tickets and sit there and change the ticket 3 times if she has not been told that you're actually going to show up. That didn't happen.
This is where everyone in the courtroom leaned forward. The DNA test results are in, and it turns out, surprise.
It has been determined that you are the father.
What did I tell you?
Buckle up, because this case is already off the rails from the jump. Mr. Boston claims he is not the biological father of Ms. Murphy's son Tristan, and says he's confused about whether they even had intimate violence. Meanwhile, Ms. Murphy insists he's the dad and wants him to stop lying. Things are just getting started, and it's already a mess.
Mr. Boston, you have dragged the defendant into court today because you say you have undeniable proof that there is no way possible that you are the biological father of the defendant's 10-month-old son, Tristan. Ms. Murphy, you say that you are tired of Mr. Boston's lies and you want him to stop denying that he's Tristan's father. You believe the DNA results will be your today.
This is where it goes from confusing to downright ridiculous. Mr. Boston starts off by claiming he doesn't remember having intimate violence with Ms. Murphy, but then backtracks, admitting they did with protection. Judge Lake isn't having it, calling out his nonsense, and his story crumbles faster than a cookie in a blender. Stay tuned, because this drama is nowhere near finished.
You know, I don't remember even doing that well.
Lied.
You don't remember having sex with Ms.
All of a
Murphy?
He's
sudden, why am I
lying. He was at
finding
my
out
house
that?
all the time, every day, every night in my bed.
I mean, I'm not denying it like that, but I'm just saying.
Okay, so what are you
He's
saying?
lying.
Did you or did you not have a sexual relationship with Ms. Murphy?
I mean, I had,
He
you know,
did
but we
plenty
had
of times
protection.
on different occasions.
If you thought things couldn't get crazier, think again. Ms. Murphy spills the tea on how she and Mr. Boston started seeing each other, claiming he was thrilled when she got pregnant. She even says he rubbed her belly like they were all lovey-dovey. But surprise, Mr. Boston says he only found out through a random family member, and suddenly we're in, he said. She said territory. Wait till you hear his logic next. It'll make your head spin.
When I moved to Danville, I bumped into Mr. Boston. We exchanged numbers. After that, he started coming over my house, spending the night. We had sexual encounters. When I first found out I was pregnant, he was happy. He came over to my house. He's like, oh, he rubbed my belly and everything.
In the process of me being
No,
over a
no.
family member's house. That family member came in the house and told me, well, you know somebody named Teresa? At the time, I didn't know her government name.
Mr. Boston's story takes another another wild turn here, and honestly, it's hard to keep up. He says he was tipsy when he first heard about the pregnancy and thought maybe the baby was his, but then sobered up and was like, nah, this ain't my kid. Oh, and he checked the baby for family resemblance, but didn't find any. But trust me, this story's far from over, and the next part is just as nuts.
So I asked out this child. She looking at me, you know, she looking all sour in the face. Why? So I'm like, who's the father of this child? What's going on? She like you. So yeah, in my head, yeah, I got another child on the way, you know. I'm gonna see how this work out. So after that little alcohol ran up off me.
That ain't no excuse.
So when you sobered up, then you realize, uh-oh, this may not be my child.
Exactly.
Just when you think you've seen it all, boom, here comes the next curveball. Ms. Murphy brings out a picture of Mr. Boston holding baby Tristan during a visit to Chicago. Like, look, here's proof. But Mr. Boston's like, yeah, I'm holding him, but I was just trying to see if he looked like me. Spoiler alert, he didn't. You won't believe who shows up next. It's about to get a whole lot messier.
I took a picture. He asked me to take a picture of him and his son and put it on Facebook, and that's what I did.
So what is this a picture of?
Tristan and Mr. Boston.
Were you holding the baby just because, or were you taking a picture with your son?
I wanted to see what part of me is in this child. So long I was patient about the situation, because maybe on down the line as the child get a little older, I will see some part of me in this baby. I still didn't see it.
Enter Mr. Gregory, the other man in this wild story, and things officially hit a new level of chaos. He admits he was with Ms. Murphy, but when she hit him up on Facebook saying she was pregnant, he straight up blocked her. He was like, nope, I'm out of here. And yet, somehow, this doesn't even scratch the surface of the madness coming up.
She texted me on Facebook and told me she was pregnant. I never talked to her again. Like, they did everything, so I blocked her.
You got a message on Facebook that she was potentially pregnant by you and you deleted her?
Blocked it.
He blocked me, Your Honor, because he had went back home to his girlfriend and he thought that I was gonna break up a happy home, which it wasn't nothing like that, because I don't wanna break up no happy home. This is about my son.
Just when you think Ms. Murphy couldn't throw any more curveballs, she admits she put Mr. Boston on child support, even though she wasn't sure he was the father. Judge Lake is not amused and calls her out for playing fast and loose with legal stuff. But oh boy, the real jaw-dropping moment is just around the corner, and it's going to change everything.
Ain't nobody did anything for my baby since my son been born. I've been doing everything for my baby. I am a 24/7 mother. My baby deserves to know who his father is. I put Mr. Boston on child support.
You did what?
Let me see that,
I put Mr. Boston on child support.
Why would you arbitrarily choose Mr. Boston and put him on child support when you knew Mr. Gregory could also potentially be a father?
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the DNA results that are about to blow this case wide open.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Boston, you are not the father.
All right, buckle up, because this story is about to get wild. Ms. Mellerson walks into court with a problem. Two different guys, Mr. Williams and Mr. Merritt, might be the dad of her daughter, Chelsea. Mr. Williams says at first she told him he wasn't the dad, but now she's changed her tune. Meanwhile, Mr. Merritt is sitting there hoping he's Chelsea's dad. Things are already starting off messy, and trust me, they only get crazy. Agreed to do a test, but then, poof, she changed her phone number and ghosted him. Ms. Mellerson admits she changes her number a lot, which leads to a whole lot of he said, she said, and just when you think that's enough, we're about to hear why Mr. Merritt found out way late.
I thought of you.
Yeah, man, got the cheeks and everything.
Now this is where things get spicy. Mr. Williams' girlfriend, Ms. Baldwin, comes in hot, saying she actually reached out to Ms. Mellerson on Facebook after hearing about this whole baby situation.
I'm helping you. This is everything I said to her.
This is when Judge Lake lays down some serious truth, and it's actually pretty refreshing. She tells Ms. Mellerson that she's proud of her for trying to break the—
Because this can't keep happening.
Right.
At some point, a mother has got to stand up and take that stuff for her child. Whatever it is, the shame, the embarrassment, and I know you don't want that for your child.
Oh boy, here we go. The moment of truth for Mr. Williams. Things are already getting wild as we find out there are 3 possible dads in this case. Miss Smith kicks things off by saying she's got 3 men who could be the father of her 1-year-old daughter, Tamia. She admits her life's a mess right now and just hopes it doesn't mess up her daughter's future. The judge makes it clear we're gonna need paternity tests to sort out this tangle, get more insane. Miss Smith now says she slept with 2 guys during the time she got pregnant. She doesn't even— drama is non-stop, and it's about to get even messy.
Who's on the birth certificate?
My husband.
The results are in, and it's official.
It has been determined that the biological father is Mr. Babe.
Let's kick off with a bang in this wild paternity mess. Mr. Johnson comes in ready to prove he's not the dad of Ms. Davenport's 3-year-old daughter, Malaya, even though he's been slapped with child support. He and his fiancée are convinced Ms. Davenport is dragging him into this for no reason, especially since another guy has already been called the dad. Ms. Davenport isn't backing down though, saying she knows Johnson is the father.
Mr. Johnson, you are here today to prove that you are not the biological father of the defendant's 3-year-old daughter, Malaya. You and your fiancé They say Ms. Davenport is putting you on child support even though she already confirmed another man is the biological father.
Oh, here comes the first big twist. The kid calls someone else daddy. Ms. Davenport casually drops the bomb that Malaya calls her current boyfriend daddy, even though Mr. Johnson is supposedly the biological father. This whole situation just got a lot more confusing, as now the child's got a different idea of who her dad is. Things are heating up, but hold tight, it's gonna get even spicier.
Who does Malaya think is her dad now? Because she's 3.
My current boyfriend right now. Because he's been there before I was pregnant. He was at the hospital with her. And
He was there when you were pregnant?
Yes.
Was he there before you got pregnant?
No.
What was the nature of your relationship?
Worked at a job together and everything was copacetic at first until like years later, I started noticing infidelity, a lot of lies.
Social media drama incoming. Mr. Johnson reveals he didn't even hear about Malaya's birth from Ms. Davenport. He found out through Facebook. Ms. Davenport posted pictures with another guy, calling him daddy while in the hospital with the baby, which really messed with Mr. Johnson's head. No wonder he's confused, right? But hang on, this drama's just getting started. Next up, some juicy cheating accusations.
he only, because after I had the baby, I posted pictures on Facebook, Chris and Malaya, saying that he was a dad.
Oh, this is what you put on
Yes.
social media? Daddy and Malaya.
She did. She just don't want to speak on it. But basically, we were in contact. She said that she would let me know when Malaya was born.
And I
didn't
did
find
not
out
let him
until
know.
the next following day on social media through everybody else and family members.
Oh boy, it's about to get even more awkward. Ms. McIver, that's Johnson's fiance, steps up and accuses Ms. Davenport of sending spicy pictures and flirty texts to Johnson while he's with her. It's messy, it's dramatic, and honestly, it's a lot. The tension in the room is sky high, and the accusations keep flying. Just when you think this case couldn't get more dramatic, here comes a shocker involving a wild favor story.
Ms. McIver, what did you say?
Yeah, she'll send him pictures of her in her lingerie, send her pictures of what she done cooked for dinner, talking about some, oh, you wish a girl could cook like this.
Melissa was texting me all the time.
And you were calling him all day, all night, talking about it's about the baby at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Hold on, texting at 3 o'clock in the morning, sending pictures of
calling,
lingerie?
texting. From the get-go, it was drama.
Okay, things just went from messy to what the heck is happening here. Mr. Johnson straight up claims Ms. Davenport wanted him to do certain favors. You know what I mean? In exchange for letting him see Malaya. Ms. Davenport calls it all a big fat lie, but seriously, how did we even get here? And if you thought that was shocking, just wait until you hear what happened in a parked car. Yeah, I'm not even kidding.
Someone that's in her life regularly?
As much as possible, but not regularly, because of course Tiffany, every time she gets upset or every time her and her boyfriend are at good terms with each other, I can't get my daughter. Because I know he feels insecure because it was a situation where Tiffany set it up where she wanted me to have sex with her in order to see my child.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
That's not true because you called my phone back in October and said y'all had sex in my car.
Yup, you read that right, folks. Both Ms. Davenport and Mr. Johnson admit to hooking up in Ms. McIver's car. It's like a soap opera in here. The courtroom is shook, and Judge Lake's face says it all. She's clearly disappointed. This is just messy beyond belief, and if you thought that was crazy, next we dive into how this circus is affecting the kids.
And they end up having sex in your car?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that true, Ms. Davenport?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that true, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, Your Honor.
But that was her stipulation. He couldn't. She texted his phone and told him he could not see her daughter unless he had sex.
They are lying,
You
Your
know, I
Honor.
was just trying to be a stand-up guy at the end of the day.
Oh, you was trying to be a stand-up guy.
Now we get to the part that pulls at your heartstrings. Ms. McIver, remember, she's Johnson's fiance, talks about how this whole mess is hurting their other kids, who think of Malaya as their little sister. The kids are confused, upset, and wondering where their sister is, which is just heartbreaking. It's clear that this drama is affecting everyone involved, but buckle up because the moment of truth, DNA results, are about to drop.
I mean, you all have developed a relationship with this baby. She may not call you daddy, but
my daughters call her sister. My daughters still, when they say yo-yo, my daughters are being affected because they look at Malaya like.
And have you considered, if I'm not the biological father, what then will you tell the children?
So I just want the crazy dysfunction and yo-yoing to stop because it's affecting my kids.
All right, here it is, the big reveal we've all been waiting for. The DNA results come in, and surprise, surprise.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are the father.
Told you. No.